Thank you.
Hello again, Tony. Raymondo Williams from Nefarious Media and Post Wrestling. First off, as a quick aside, you have a terrific memory, especially about that aside with the Darby Allin match from March of 2020. But since it's already been introduced, I'll go ahead and ask a two-part question of my own, sir. So it's been mentioned earlier about the recent talent or the recent talent management of your main competition. And so I won't get into specifics, but I do want to ask you, with you almost having AEW for almost 7 years and with ROH for 4 years, how has the adjustments been, and how have you had to adjust your process when it comes to managing talent, whether it be getting folks on television or managing expiring contracts or acquiring new talent? So that's the first part. And earlier you did mention your partnership with CMLL and Stardom, but you also have a recent partnership with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling as well. So how has you working with Scott D'Amore, how did that come into fruition, and what are some things that we could see in the future with your partnership with MLP?
Great. I'll start with there, and I'll work backwards if it's okay. And if I miss anything, you can help. Maybe you can take me through it. Great. So starting there, I loved the Global Wars show that we did with Scott in Windsor, Ontario. That was really the first ROH pay-per-view of the year, and it was a lot of fun. I worked on the show with Scott. There was a lot of ROH, and I was very involved in it, and I like working with other promoters and doing those two missile key situations like I do with Ghetto on Forbidden Door, or going down and we're doing the Salvador, taking the pencil out together and doing things that we agree on, working together. So it was a lot of fun. And it felt to me like an ROH show, but having Scott involved. And we've collaborated together before on things. For example, when I brought Kenny Omega to TNA with Scott, and then having had Scott come to AEW number of times and work with us and brought his championship. So Scott and I have a great relationship, a good friendship, and I like working with other promoters like Scott in Canada, like my great friend Salvador in Mexico, and his family's built the longest running professional wrestling promotion in the world, and every Friday night they pack the house in Arena, Mexico, and it's incredible what they're able to do. My friend Ghetto does a great job with what he does under President Tanahashi. President Tanahashi is doing a fantastic job with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I love working with Taro Okada and Stardom. We have great partners and friendships. It'll be really exciting to have the CMLL Stardom Global Wars come together. And then to your first question, that's a big question. I came in, I was a young promoter. I had people with great experience around me, and I still do. And now I have a lot more experience. So I'm very fortunate, because when I launched AEW, working with some great people, it was the first time in many years there had been a challenger promotion on TNT and TBS, and it was a very exciting time. And then we talked about that pandemic era. That came very quickly, just months into the launch of AEW. After a really successful run of shows, great TV, and an incredible Revolution pay-per-view, people felt like, well, these guys are just months into having AEW, and already this, when they've got these fired up crowds, they just had an awesome pay-per-view, and the whole world's changing right when AEW was really getting off the ground. But we made the most of it and came out of it, I think, with even more momentum. And it's, again, a testament to the human spirit, a testament to the spirit of everybody around here. And then in 2022, I learned even more, because it was my first time acquiring a wrestling promotion and bringing new people into the fold. I did that Supercard show, and it was kind of, hey, this is the production meeting. I went back to you and I told you all, hey, this is a tryout for a lot of you with me, right?
Yeah.
And you'll get to know me in the way I do things. This is our first time working together, but you'll find I'm firm but fair, and you'll find this will be a good place to work for all of you who make it. And many of you have and did, and you do a great job. That was our first time working together. That was my first time working with so many great people. Like I said, when we talked earlier about the Briscoes, that was my first night with Samoa Joe. And it was a great Supercard. And now here we are 4 years later, and I think I've learned a lot since then. I mentioned Jay Briscoe and Mara. I probably it took a while to sink in, but I definitely changed my approach, especially in the last year or two. A lot more turning the other cheek than I did in the early years, which again I attribute to the probably after Jay passed, being fair to say more born again in my faith in Jesus, and then trying to apply that to my life more, if that makes sense. And from seeing how strong Mark and his family were when you were sitting right in front of me, I mean, it was like, seeing how strong this guy is, and
Absolutely.
and to go up and say the things he did, and to have the spirit of the Briscoe family, for the Pugh family to come together the way they did. If you've ever believed in Jesus, if you've ever had faith, it's going to strengthen it in you and make you see that there's more to this. And for me, I think it didn't come right away. It took a while, but in this last year, 2 years, I think I've tried to soften my approach and apply that more. What would Jesus do? And turn the other cheek. And nobody's perfect. I definitely haven't always applied it perfect, but you'll see me take a lot more. There's a lot of these things. And like, today, like I saw a thing today that, and it's just a report. I don't know if this is true. It could be true, but a lot of these reports, there's substance to them, although you never know firsthand when you're hearing third-hand reports. I saw a report today that somebody in WWE is telling people within WWE, talking about AEW's next TV deal and talking about what we're doing. And I was surprised by that. And all I'll say is that what they said could not be further from the truth, and they're entitled to their opinions. I think, I've been trying to be respectful to them and try to conduct myself as a gentleman, and then for them to go on background and spread these things, I'll just turn the other cheek. And maybe a couple years ago I wouldn't have done it like that. Thank you.
I do miss the shades though from those Impact days. I will say.